I made another video about my Ethiopia documentary, which I've linked, and I talked about why you should go out and make a film that really challenges you. Now, it's all very well me idealistically saying, just go out and do it, but of course it costs money to make a film. So let's talk money. When I went to Ethiopia, I was a student, which meant two things. I was broke as and I qualified for a small grant from an organization that funded students to travel to developing countries to tell positive stories. I'll link them below because they're a fantastic organization. If you're a student, you should really check them out. This grant was the reason I decided to make a film in Ethiopia. It was a great opportunity and I did everything I could to make sure I got the money. So if you want someone to pay for your documentary, follow the money. Look at what funds or grants are available, see what you're likely to win, and then tailor your idea to those specific money sources. It's reverse engineering. They want a film made, you want money to make a film, you work backwards from them. Now I got my Ethiopia grant, but the reality was it wasn't much money. It covered my plane ticket, which is fantastic, very happy for them to pay for that, but everything else came out of my pocket. And this is the bigger point I want to make with this video. There's no mystery investor or producer who's going to just appear and give you a big pot of money and make your life easy. We all wish that was true, but it certainly never happened to me, and I don't know anyone who it has happened to. I think it can feel like getting money from some organization gives you permission to make your film, and if you do get funding, it absolutely is a vote of confidence that your idea is worth investing in, and that you, as a filmmaker, are worth investing in. But here's the truth. You can invest in yourself, and the reality is, you have to. I think as filmmakers we have to be self-reliant. So I had two jobs. I worked on a coffee shop on campus, great job, selling coffee, flirting with students, loved it. And then in the evenings I was a waiter at a hotel. Awful job. I couldn't be a worse waiter. I couldn't remember what was on the menu, I couldn't balance the tray with soups, and disaster. They actually put me on room service, so I didn't have to be in the restaurant, just carrying trays of food upstairs. And then in the evenings, we would polish spoons until 12 a.m., 1 a.m. Awful job. And I can tell you, you don't have to polish that many spoons to really put in perspective what your priorities are. I knew I wanted to make this documentary in Ethiopia, and so every penny I earned went towards that goal. I didn't write out a budget for the Ethiopia doc, but I have for every film I've made since, and it really helps to see some numbers. And when you do, you realise it's not as expensive as you think to make a short documentary abroad. So now I always write out a budget. Travel is the big one, then food and drink, and I use a cost of living calculator to estimate how much I think I'll need to survive. Then there's accommodation, transport for when you're in the country, contingency funds are a really important one. Things will cost more than you think, there'll be expenses you didn't anticipate, so I always add a little extra money for those things. Any money you spend on developing a skill, knowledge, or experience moves you forward. Even if it's just a little step forward, it's the right direction. You won't necessarily know what you're taking a step towards, and honestly, it doesn't really matter. Opportunities will be open to you that weren't there before. The point is just not to stand still. So if you're worried about something being too expensive, look at where you're spending your money. Often our money is consumed before we've even really thought what we're doing with it. Coffee every day, next day delivery. These little expenses turn into big monthly outgoings. And when you're first starting out, like I was, getting paid or finding funding to make your first film is going to have to come second. First, you have to need to make the film. You have to really want it because it's going to be a struggle, and if you're not completely committed, it's just too hard. To me, it's far better to go out and try and make the film yourself. You can spend a lot of time chasing pots of money, time which I think is better spent researching your story, talking to your characters, and shooting your film. So just dive off the deep end and go for it, and worry about the money afterwards. That being said, I'd love to hear your experiences with finding money for your first film. Did you work a job? Did you get a grant? Did somebody invest? How did you make it happen? I'd love to know. Despite what this looks like, this is like 20 quid, maybe. but still. Right. I tried to exchange it back at the airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. You guys wouldn't take it. So now, I'm making it rain.